It is a murky day today. It is quite gloomy. In fact, if you see any cars coming down the hill in the distance, you might notice that they have their headlights on because it's so gloomy. It is so dismal outside. However, here in the studio, here everything is lovely and warm and, dare I say, festive. Very nice, because something is in the air. Do you know what it is? I'm sure you do. Here we go again. We are once more live and direct from the birthplace of the English language. You know where it is. I know where it is. We all know where it is. It is England. We are back together again. It's so nice to have you here. Hi everybody, this is Mr. Duncan in England. How are you today? Are you okay? I hope so. Are you feeling happy? Do you have one of these on your face at the moment? If you don't, there is no need to worry, because I will try my best to put one of these on your face over the next hour. Here we go then. My name is Mr. Duncan. I live in England. A lot of people ask, what is it like living in England? Now, I know what happens with everywhere in the world. All of the places around the world, everyone has their own opinion of certain places, even if they have never been there. So it's not just about visiting somewhere and having a sense of the place or a feeling of the place, but maybe from a distance, maybe from very far away, you might try to work out what it is like living in a certain place. I know growing up, as a young person, I was always fascinated by the Far East. I don't know why, because occasionally I would see documentaries about the Far East and movies that were set in the Far East. We are talking places like Japan, China, and I suppose my fascination for that part of the world did come around when I was quite young, and also at the hotel that my dad helped to run when I was a child. We had a chef there, and he was from Japan. So I got all of the information about Japan from my friend, from my father's chef at the hotel, and his name was Kai, K-A-I. I still remember his name, and he was a great guy, a wonderful person, a wonderful human being, and he would tell me all sorts of things about Japan. And because of that, I became incredibly interested in the Far East. It seemed so far away, as its name suggests, I suppose. And also, I suppose it was kind of mystical at that time. So I suppose since the late 1970s, I would say that the Far East is less mystical these days than it was when I was growing up as a child. So you might find that your ideas or your feelings about certain places might somehow influence the way you view another part of the world. And that is probably one of the reasons why I wanted to visit Eastern countries. I went to Malaysia. I spent a lot of time in Malaysia. A wonderful place, very interesting. Some vibrant cities. I have to say, one of the most vibrant places I've ever visited. I know there are other places that I could go to, but I did enjoy my time in Kuala Lumpur. If you've never been there, literally, the name means muddy river. A wonderful place, vibrant, amazing architecture, and also China. How can I forget China? I went to China, I worked there for a number of years, and all of that came about because of the perception that I had about that particular part of the world. So you might say that we all have our own idea or thoughts of what it is like to live in a certain place, including here in England. Of course, if you live in the place, if you were born in that particular country, I suppose over time you don't even consider all of the aspects of life in the place where you live. So if it is your native country and you've always lived there, you might have a very different point of view from, say, people far away who view your country from a distance. You may have noticed already my throat is being really annoying again. I'm thinking of going to the doctors about it because it really is becoming quite a pain in the neck, literally in the neck. Nice to see so many people here on the live chat. Thank you for joining me today. We have Vitas. Congratulations, you are first. Well done. Have you noticed, by the way, the studio? It is looking rather festive as we now approach that wonderful time of year. The time of year where families all get together, they have their big reunions, they share all of their news, they catch up with each other, they also eat a lot of food and drink a lot of alcohol as well. And the most important part, they share their gifts with each other as well. In other words, Christmas is coming. Are you excited? I know not everyone celebrates Christmas. I get these messages every time I mention it. I know not everyone celebrates Christmas, but it is, for those who do, a rather fun and exciting time. It is nice to see you here today. It's lovely to have you back with us on the live chat. We also have Beatrice. Hello, Beatrice. Beatrice is on the bus at the moment. Hello, Beatrice. I hope your bus ride will be smooth with not too many bumps in the road. Hello, Philippe Gasson. Hello to you as well, Philippe. Nice to see you here. One of the early birds. So if you arrive early on the live chat, I will give you the title of early bird. Philippe is an early bird. Vitas, definitely. Palmyra is also an early bird today. And we have Claudia. Claudia is here as well, another early bird. Maurizio is here as well. How are things in Italy? I have heard that it's very cold at the moment. I've heard that the temperature in Rome is not very high at the moment. It is, in fact, quite low indeed. We also have Wafei and also Creative Amu, watching in Nepal. Hello, Nepal. Nice to see you here. I do know that I have some viewers watching in Nepal. It is very nice to see you. Palmyra says, my country becomes more and more global, especially the capital. My granddaughter's friends are from Pakistan, Ukraine, and even Salvador. That means that many people from other countries are coming to your place, your country, to settle down. It is something that is always a sign of a place where people want to live in. And I suppose if lots of people want to come to your country to settle down, then yes, it is good for the economy. I remember way back in the 1970s, you might not believe this, but it is true. Australia could not get people to go there. So what happened is they allowed us in this country to go to Australia to live for £10. I'm not joking. You could pay £10 and you could go and live in Australia. There was a big movement, a big promotion for Australia way back in the late 1960s and the early 1970s to try and get people to move to Australia. I'm not even joking about this. It's true. Nowadays, of course, Australia is one of the hardest countries to emigrate to. It is so difficult. I know some friends who tried to move to Australia and they ask you so many questions. They want to know how much money you have, what your qualifications are, and all of the other things as well relating to your life, your marriage, if you are single, if you have a family, all these things. So it is much harder nowadays to actually get to Australia to live. But years ago, they were really trying their best to get people to go there. It does seem strange, doesn't it, when you think about it? And of course, there is a long history between the UK and Australia, because that is where we sent a lot of our prisoners. That's crazy when you think about it. So as punishment, we used to send our prisoners to Australia. Nowadays, you can't get there at all. It's so hard to become a citizen. I suppose you might say the same thing about this country, because I do receive a lot of messages concerning emigrating or coming here to England or the UK to study a certain topic or subject. And of course, these days, if you want to come here to learn or study, you need to have a very good level of English. It is incredibly important. Very important. Claudia says, one of my relatives went to live in Australia a few months ago, working in a hotel as a chambermaid. Yes, very good. So you can begin a new life in Australia. There are opportunities, there are ways of doing it. And I suppose there are many opportunities for everyone, including here in the UK. But it has become much more difficult to come here now. And one of the things you really do need is a good level of English. I can't stress that enough. You really do need a very high proficiency of the English language. You don't have to be as good as me, of course. As long as you can be understood, as long as you have some sort of grasp of the English language and you can communicate on a daily basis, those are the things that are important. So I do receive a lot of messages asking if I can help personally. Unfortunately, I don't have that type of influence. I wish I did, because I would be helping everyone. Unfortunately, I am just one little YouTuber and I have no influence whatsoever. I'm ever so sorry about that. I wish I could help you. But it is an important thing to mention that if you want to travel to another country, if you want to go to live in another country, you really do need a high level of whatever the local language is. And of course, these days, English has become a hot language. I suppose other languages include French as well. A lot of people are learning French as a second language also, because many countries speak French as well. And of course, Spanish. You might say that Spanish is another one that is popular. And of course, here in schools, here in the UK, some students are now learning Chinese as a second language. Interesting, I have to say. That is a very interesting development. So young people now are being taught Chinese as a second language, which I find rather intriguing, to say the least. Hello to Tavgar. Hello, Tavgar. Tavgar Jalal, who says, I love your background. Thank you very much. It is seasonal. I have a seasonal atmosphere in the studio as we approach Christmas. Can I say at the moment, here's a good opportunity to tell you that I will be with you on Christmas Day. I will be mentioning this quite a few times. Christmas Day, I will be with you live on YouTube. Steve will be here. I'm not sure what we will be doing. We might be in the kitchen preparing the Christmas meal. But we will be with you on Christmas Day, and we will be live on that day as well. In fact, I think it's 2 weeks from today. Is that right? 2 weeks. I can't believe it. Perhaps it's 3 weeks. It could be 2 weeks. It could be 3 weeks. I think it's 2 weeks, isn't it? 2 weeks before Christmas Day. Wow. Alexander says, Mr. Duncan, are you sure about Australia? As I've heard, the IELTS test gives a chance to emigrate to Australia. Yes, that is true. It is. It is true, yes. But it depends on what you are intending to do and how long you are planning to stay there. But from my advice, the advice I'm giving now, is all about if you want to study in a certain country. It is advisable, it is important that your level of English is high. You must have a very good understanding of the English language. Today, by the way, we are looking at an interesting subject. We are looking at sense. Last weekend I mentioned sense, as in our own senses. We have 5 senses, and I love explaining them. I don't know why. It means I can put on a little bit of a performance, you see. We have 5 senses: the sense of sight, the sense of hearing, the sense of smell, the sense of taste. Without the sense of taste, we would not be able to enjoy our food. Although it is true to say that we also use our sense of smell when we are eating. Some people don't even realise that. So when you eat food, you are using your sense of taste, but also you are using your sense of smell at the same time. Isn't that strange? And of course, the sense of touch. In that sense, we are talking about the way we perceive the world around us. To perceive is to understand. You receive, you perceive. So you might say that perceiving is the other way round. You perceive, you take in certain things, certain senses are working to allow you to understand the world around you. So yeah, it can be. Palmyra is here. Hello, Palmyra. Duong, I am a beginner in English and I want to ask you how I can speak English without translating in my head. The answer to that question is simple. Keep doing it. That is the best advice I can give. Keep doing it. When you learn anything, it does take time. If you are learning to drive a car, if you are learning to do a certain thing, maybe you are learning to operate your computer in a certain way, maybe a certain type of software. You have to learn how to do it. And by that, I mean do it again and again. But it is normal, and I can tell you now, it is completely normal to translate in your head when you are learning a second language, or in some cases, a third language or a fourth language. It is normal to do that. However, over time, you will become more accustomed. You will become more comfortable doing that particular thing. So my best advice in that situation is to keep doing it and don't worry about it. It is normal. You can't run before you can walk. You have to start. You have to do something over time before you can become good at it. Oh, I see we have Luis Mendez is here today. Hello, Luis. Nice to see you back as well. I hope my advice is useful because learning anything has the same rule. All of those things have the same rules. Do it regularly. Keep doing it, do it more, and don't stop. Basically, I'm saying the same thing, but in a different way. Don't stop. That is it. Whatever it is you are doing, don't stop doing it. Over time, it will improve. Trust me. Please trust me on that one. Hello to Ukraine. Hello, Ukraine. I hope you are okay. Anna is here. This year we will celebrate Christmas with Europe. Oh, I see. So you are actually going to be celebrating it on the 25th, like us. Well, guess what? There will be an extra special treat this year because I will be with you live on Christmas Day. Yes. Palmyra is going for a walk because it is getting dark outside. I will say hello to you all And now I must say bye-bye. See you later, Palmyra. No problem. It's fine by me. Very nice. Mr. Duncan, I heard that in England exists Chinese English. Is it the way they learn English, but a bit weird? I think what you are talking about there is the way sometimes two languages can become merged together. And yes, it can happen, but it is not part of learning English. It is just something that happens maybe naturally, or depending on the situation you are in, if you are in a certain community. So maybe even if you learn English as a second language and your first language is Chinese, you might find sometimes those two languages will become combined. Especially if you are in a situation where you use Chinese quite a lot. When you start speaking English suddenly, you might also still have a little bit of Chinese in the English you are speaking. It does happen. And I think it happens in all languages as well. Even English. Even when I'm speaking English sometimes, I make mistakes. I mispronounce words. Or maybe they come out the wrong way round. That is being human, unfortunately, because we all make mistakes. But yes, you are right. It is possible if you are learning a second language. Sometimes you can combine those things. The other thing I find interesting about certain languages is in those languages there are certain words that don't exist in that particular language. So quite often English is used as a substitute. So they will use an English word in their own local language because there is not a word in their language that means that particular thing. I hope you understand what I mean by that, because it does happen quite a lot. It is interesting to hear that when it actually occurs. We have a super topic coming up today. We are talking about sense, the way we use our sense, the way we use certain words or certain ways of describing the way we sense the world around us. For example, on the screen right now, I can sense that it is getting dark outside because lots of the cars coming down the hill in the distance all have their headlights on. So that is the view outside right now. And I can sense just by looking at the view that it is very dark outside at the moment. It is dark. Very, very dark. I will be back in a moment and we will look at the subject of sense. Don't go away. Keep it right here. It is Wednesday. Wednesday is here today. It's so nice to have your company right here. Live on YouTube with myself, Mr. Duncan. That's me, by the way. I teach English. I talk about the English language. I am crazy about English. Today we are going to look at an interesting subject. I hope it is interesting. I hope it is something you will find interesting. We are taking a look at sense, the word sense, and the ways in which it can be used. So we are going to do that for today's main topic. And there we go on the screen right now. Oh, very nice, Mr. Duncan. It is my virtual whiteboard. Everyone else has a whiteboard, but mine is virtual. I can't actually touch it, unfortunately, even though I do have my pen, you see. So I suppose I could write something on there. But you wouldn't be able to see it, unfortunately. Here we go then. Sense. Mr. Duncan, please tell us all about it. Okay then. The word sense relates to the general relationship between us and the surrounding world. I suppose you might call it the link, or the ability to understand, to see, to hear, to know the world around you. So the word sense, generally speaking, is the relationship between us and the surrounding world. As a noun, it can mean any of the faculties, such as sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. When we talk about faculties, the faculties are the things that have a purpose. They are the things you use for a certain reason or a certain use. The faculties of something. It does sound like a swear word. Trust me, it is not. We might refer to the senses as a general term for all of the sensory functions. So generally speaking, we often say the senses, your senses, as a general term for all of the senses that we have. Your sight, your hearing, taste, smell, touch. Mr. Duncan. The feeling created by each sense is a sensation. Sensation is the thing you perceive, the sensation. I suppose if you touch something, you will feel the thing you are touching. You sense that thing. Of course, the same thing applies to all of the other senses. You hear a sound. You sense a noise. You sense the shape of something using your eyes. You might sense the taste of something in your mouth. You might smell something. You have a sensation. Maybe something sweet, or maybe Mr. Steve's stomach is having a problem again. In other words, a bad smell. Any special capacity for perception, estimation, appreciation is sense. In that sense, that way of perceiving, to sense something. As I said at the start of this lesson, you perceive something. To sense is to perceive. You might have a sense of humour. Sense of humour. So you are naming something that a person has as part of their character, or the way they view the world, or maybe the way they feel towards something. You have a sense of humour. You might have a sense of fun. You might enjoy having fun. We might say that you have a sense of fun, sense of character. Maybe you can perceive or estimate, guess, or gather information in that sense of character. So when we say sense of character, we mean that you can feel the way in which a person might behave, or their actual character, whether or not they are a good person or a bad person. A person's sanity is a great word. See you later, Maurizio. Maurizio is going. A person's sanity. When we talk about a person's sanity, not to be confused with sanitary. Sanitary is something else. Sanity is what's going on up here in your brain box. Your sanity is often referred to as sense or senses, your mental state, your ability to control yourself, to think, to understand, to have a certain type of logic, your mental state. We might also say to a person who is acting in a very unusual way, maybe they appear to be doing things that are a little bit strange. Maybe they are making choices or decisions that might be harmful or bad for them. Have you taken leave of your senses? So this is a well-known expression in English that we often say when we are asking if a person has gone crazy. Have you taken leave of your senses? Have you lost your mind? Are you out of your mind? Have you taken leave of your senses? So quite often we use the word sense to mean a person's sanity, whether or not they are making good decisions or choices. You can express a vague perception of something as sense. So when we talk about something vague, vague perception means you have an idea, you feel that thing. It isn't clear, but you have an understanding of that thing. It isn't 100% clear, you don't fully understand it, but you sense that thing, you feel that thing. It is a feeling you have the sense of something. I was not listening, but I got a sense of what he was saying. This happens sometimes when a person is talking for a long period of time, like I do sometimes. You might not understand everything I'm saying. However, you might get a sense of what I'm saying. So maybe you don't fully understand that particular thing, but you can get a sense of it. To get the sense of what someone is trying to say or what they are explaining to you. The understanding of the important details or gist. Again, another interesting word. To get the important details or the gist of something. Gist basically means the basic meaning of something. So if you get the gist of something, it means you have a basic understanding of what they are saying. You get the basic information. You don't understand it completely, but you get the gist of it. You get a sense of that thing, or maybe you don't. You can, of course, have the opposite situation where you don't get the gist. You don't understand that thing. So you can sense, you can have a sense of something, but also you might have no sense of that particular thing because you don't understand it. You can get the sense or you don't get the sense of something. To understand the basic meaning, you get the gist. If you don't understand it, then you don't get the gist. You don't understand it. You don't get the sense of what that person is saying to you. The meaning of a word or phrase in a specific context, especially as isolated in a dictionary or maybe in some sort of reference book, an encyclopedia, or something where words are being explained. You try to get a sense of that particular thing. So you will often see in dictionaries, if you are learning a language or maybe you want to learn some new words in your own language, quite often you need to look at a reference book, normally a dictionary. And in that dictionary you will see the senses of those particular words. Basically, it means the way those words can be used. We often use the word context. Context just means how you do it, how that thing is said or used in a sentence. The context of something. Whenever you speak, whenever you use words, you are trying to express yourself in a certain way. That is context. The semantic element in a word or group of words. Again, we are talking about the sense of a word. As you probably know, many words in the English language have more than one use, more than one sense. So in this situation, sense is being used to mean context, literal or figuratively. Of course, there are more than one way. There is more than one way to use a word in a sentence. You can use something literally, which means it's really happening, it is a real thing, or of course you can use it figuratively. To say something in a figurative way means you are using that thing as a phrase or an idiom, so it's not really happening. It is being used in that particular sense. An opinion or judgment formed or held, especially by an assemblage or gathered group. So when you have a group of people together and maybe they all discuss a certain topic together, you can say that that group has a sense of a particular thing. The sense is the feeling. Maybe something a lot of people have to agree on before it can go ahead. So quite often we use it in that particular way. A sense of what was meant or is agreed on. Something that lots of people agree on. They all have a sense of one particular thing. They might all agree based on the feeling that they get from that particular thing. You might concur. If you concur, you agree. You all come to an agreement. You all concur because you feel the same way. And as we know, feeling is sense. You sense that thing. As a verb, the word sense describes the action of perceiving or feeling through one's senses. So again, we are using those 5 senses, which, if you are lucky enough to have them all, will help you get through the world and explore it, and hopefully stay safe. So to perceive the feeling, you are doing that thing, you sense something. You are actively using your senses. You sense something. You are actually trying to hear something. You are trying to see something. You want to taste something. You want to touch something. To sense something directly, you sense something or you feel something. So again, we are using it as a verb. This is sense as an action. The action of sensing is to feel or sense something occurring, happening, coming, approaching through one's senses. So have you ever felt something that may not be obvious, but you still feel that thing? You sense something. Maybe the temperature is starting to drop. You might feel or you might sense that there is some bad weather coming. Maybe it is going to get very cold. Maybe we will get some snow. You sense that thing. I sense tension. I sense a storm. Again, you can get the feeling of that thing. You sense that thing. Sometimes you hear something, sometimes you see something in the distance, or sometimes you just feel that something is going to happen. You sense that particular thing. I sense movement, something that seems to be moving. You feel that thing, you sense that thing. Again, we are using it as a verb in that particular sense. You see? So we are talking about the senses or the ways of using the word sense. It's a big topic, this one. To fully understand and grasp what was said or explained, I sense the urgency and will do it now. Perhaps your boss tells you to do some paperwork that needs to be done by this afternoon, but maybe he doesn't tell you directly. Maybe he just uses the tone of his voice to tell you. You sense that thing. I sense the urgency. I can feel that you want that thing doing as soon as possible. You might also sense someone's reluctance. I sense your reluctance to go ahead with the deal. You might feel that another person is reluctant. Maybe they don't want to do something, but they don't express it directly. You sense that thing. I can sense that you are not happy. I can sense that you are not comfortable. I feel that thing. I am feeling it. Sensible thought is often described as common sense. We like to think that we all have common sense. We never do anything stupid. We never make mistakes. We all have common sense. Unfortunately, that's not really true, to be honest. It's not true. We can use the phrase common sense to mean the logical way or the safest way, using your mind, your brain, your sense, your logic. So in this particular way, we are using it as logic, the safest way, the best way to do something. Common sense. I always like to think that I have common sense, but sometimes I do very silly things. I make mistakes. As I said before, sensible thought is often described as common sense. A smart or careful person might be described as having common sense. We all know someone who is always careful. They always take their time. They never come to any quick decisions. They never rush into any decision. They always take their time. We often describe that person as having common sense. They never do anything risky or dangerous. A smart or careful person might be described as having common sense. To use one's common sense is to think rationally using logic. So you might think, what is the best way to do a certain task? What is the safest way to paint the front of my house? Those things are common sense. You are being logical about something, to use logic. His common sense told him to start investing his money from an early age. Again, common sense can also be the feeling you have about doing the right thing in the correct way. Your common sense. Finally, we often tell each other to use one's common sense when discussing something that requires long consideration. And we've all done it. We've all done it in the past. We've all made decisions and choices that have been wrong. We've all done it. I've done it. In my life, I've made many choices that have turned out to be wrong. Sometimes I did not use my common sense. So we often tell each other to use one's common sense when discussing something that requires long consideration. You might use your common sense before borrowing money. You might have to use your common sense. Is it a good idea to borrow that money? Can I pay it back? So you are using your logic. You are using your common sense. Maybe you are going to climb a mountain. Some people might say that is a crazy thing to do. But if you use your common sense, you will do that safely, in a safe way. And of course, what? What does that say? Getting married. Please don't be offended by that. Getting married. Do you need common sense before getting married? Some people, of course, might say, yes, Mr. Duncan, you do need to think carefully. You need to think logically before you marry someone. They might not be the right person. They might be unsuitable for you. You might rush in to that marriage without thinking about it. So maybe, perhaps maybe, common sense is something you will use before getting married. Please don't quote me on that. Please don't tell anyone. Oh, Mr. Duncan on the internet said that we can't get married. I have to use my common sense. I'm sorry, the marriage is off. We're not getting married now because Mr. Duncan told me. Do not say that. Do not blame me for your cancelled marriage. Please, please do not blame me. Guess what? That's it. Oh my goodness. I sense that we are coming towards the end of today's live stream. Can you sense that thing as well? I feel as if we are coming towards the end of the live stream. I hope you've enjoyed it. Of course, I am back. You know when I'm back. I'm back on Sunday from 2 p.m. UK time. Guess what? Yes, he will be with us on Sunday. Mr. Steve will be here on Sunday. He has no concerts. He will not be singing any songs anywhere else. He will be right here in the studio. We will be together, and Steve will be sitting in his lovely, comfortable corner. Alessandra says, I got married twice. I have to say, I'm always intrigued when a person gets married more than once. Because if they get married and then they get a divorce for whatever reason, there are many reasons why you might get divorced. Many, many reasons, in fact. But it always amazes me when a person gets married for a second time, or a third time, or sometimes 4 or 5 times. Was it Richard Burton? Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor? How many times did they get married? I think it was quite a few times, wasn't it? They tied the knot many times. I think once is enough for me, to be honest. Claudia says, my friend decided to have a ride on his motorbike. He was going to travel 6,000 kilometres alone. He went from Buenos Aires to Patagonia. Very risky. And he had a heart attack some years before. So did he have the heart attack during the bike ride? Or was he someone who might have another heart attack? Yes. Some people do like these things. They do like doing things that are dangerous and extreme. Personally, I would not, because I am a coward, basically. The first time I got married was I was very young, says Alessandra. But the marriage did last for 17 years. Well, I suppose that is something you can take away. At least it lasted for 17 years. I do hear a lot of people who get married and then they get divorced within just a few months of getting married. I am going now. I hope you've enjoyed today's live stream. You can watch it again with lovely captions later on. And can I just leave you with this little bit of information? This is very Interesting. YouTube is now offering a service where they will take away my voice on my videos and replace it with someone else's voice using a different language. For example, they will take away my English voice and they will replace it with, say, French, German, Spanish, Italian, something like that. Can you believe that? Why would you want to do that? However, maybe in the future more people will use that particular technology, but this is something that YouTube is just testing at the moment, and they have asked me if I want to test it. But I don't think I'm going to use it. However, there will be captions, there will be subtitles on the screen later on. And don't forget, you can also watch the captions in your own language. It is very important that I tell you that. See you on Sunday, and I will catch you later. I hope you have a good day as the skies become dark here in England. This is Mr. Duncan in the birthplace of English, saying thank you for watching. See you on Sunday. And of course, until the next time we meet here, you know what's coming next. Yes, you do. Stay happy, stay safe. Keep that smile upon your face as you walk amongst the human race. And I will see you on Sunday. Ta-ta for now.